In 1968, during a television show, the host and some epidemiologists discussed the ongoing battle between humanity and viruses. However, Dr. Newman mentioned that even though a virus could be capable of creating a global contingency, it was actually unlikely that one would ever exist that could wipe us out.
Not bacteria, not viruses either, so...
Fungi!
Initially, everyone laughed at his argument, but as he continued discussing these organisms' abilities, the silence of those present showed their fear of his chilling theory about humanity's end.
So humanity
would lose.
Later, in 2003, this man's words proved true when a fungus called Cordyceps apparently mutated. An Indonesian mycology professor was asked by the government to analyze human samples. In addition to a corpse that was infected through a bite caused by another person, the evidence didn't lie. Cordyceps had managed to infect a group of humans for the first time in history. And when she found out that more than a dozen of these people were missing, terror immediately filled this woman's thoughts.
Bomb this city and all its inhabitants.
There was no way to stop this new kind of threat, there was no treatment, and it was impossible to create a medicine. The beginning of the apocalypse had started. And this is how we will begin this story, this time on NEGAYO's channel, The Last of Us. News about the riots in the capital of Indonesia began to spread quickly around the world, still unaware of the looming threat that would change everything. Set in Austin, Texas, we meet Sarah Miller, her father Joel, the main character, and Uncle Tommy in their everyday lives. Right on Joel's birthday, things would start to get a little strange. Not only were the news reports talking about unexplained riots, but around this town, emergency services kept responding to dozens of calls for help. And on top of that, because of the tension in the air, businesses were closing their doors way too early. After going to fix a watch for her father, Sarah heads to her neighbor's house just to visit them for a couple of hours. They were unaware of events outside, but unknowingly had an infected person in their home. Now, before continuing, I think it's necessary to explain a little about this Cordyceps, in case you don't know its role in the video game, or just in case the series didn't catch your attention too much. Or if you were too busy using your phone while they were explaining everything, that's not good, man, you shouldn't do that. This type of fungus is a kind of parasite capable of infecting certain insects and taking over their brain and body until it completely devours them with the sole purpose of surviving and spreading to other hosts. Since the first episode of the series, the theory has emerged that this threat spread thanks to flour and its derived products. If you thought it was odd they kept mentioning pancakes, muffins, cakes, and cookies early in the episode, now you know that everything had a reason. This hypothesis was actually confirmed in episode 2 when it is revealed that the first infected humans worked at a grain mill in the capital of Indonesia. Even though the series takes many scenes almost exactly from the video game, it's really appreciated that they expand the story of the origin of the fungus. This way, besides adding depth to other characters, which we'll discuss later, let's continue. More strange events happened throughout the rest of the day until Joel arrived home. Sarah gave him that watch she went to fix after school. And as she falls asleep watching a movie, her father gets a call from Tommy to go bail him out of jail. Early in the morning, military helicopters wake the girl as she keeps searching for Joel. Something serious happened nearby, and soon after, Sarah noticed a break-in at her neighbor's house.
Mrs. Adler?
The crime scene was chilling. Sarah tried to escape and ran into Joel outside the house. Such situations were happening everywhere. Sick, aggressive people roamed the streets. Hundreds tried to escape, unaware it was useless. The most populated areas descended into chaos, and the Millers were running out of survival options. Joel ran as fast as he could with his daughter in his arms, but unfortunately, when they encountered a soldier, he received orders to end their lives.
We're not safe.
Tommy arrived in time to stop the guy, but it was too late for Sarah. Joel's daughter died that night. Cordyceps spread all over the planet, and just like that, 20 years went by. Humanity survived the apocalypse despite everything. Some went alone, others in groups, seeking places beyond Cordyceps' reach. The safest places were definitely remote areas and quarantine cities controlled by Fedra. They were in charge of keeping any possible infected at bay, as well as the civilians who disobeyed the rules. They kept the adults busy with pretty unpleasant jobs, educated the children in this new world, and trained them to become soldiers. Some people considered them fascists, and to defeat them, a group known as the Fireflies was created, which constantly attacked the quarantine zones. Here we meet our second protagonist, Ellie, a troubled and rebellious orphan girl who, during a little adventure with her best friend Riley in an abandoned mall, was bitten by an infected. Interestingly, although both should have died, this girl survived, meaning she was immune to Cordyceps. Apparently, that's what made her special to Marlene, the Fireflies leader in Boston, who observed her for several days. She eventually becomes convinced this girl is the key to restoring the world.
Don't tell anyone what I'm about to say. Because if you do, I assure you, you will die.
During the last couple of decades, we don't know in detail what Joel did, from Sarah's death until he ended up in Boston. Some dialogues in the series state that he and Tommy did terrible things to survive, killing both evil and innocent people. Both of them joined a group where they met Tess, and eventually these two brothers separated when Tommy started working with the Fireflies. Joel had become a cold and indifferent person. And just like Tess, both of them were smugglers operating in secret from the Federal Disaster Response Agency regime. In one of his last jobs, this man was trying to get a car battery because his brother hadn't contacted him for 3 weeks. Unfortunately, Robert, the man they negotiated with, scammed them by selling the battery to someone else. Both of them decide to go look for him and end up at the Fireflies' hideout. Besides the fact that the battery didn't work, the guy and his men died in a small shootout with the resistance when the deal went bad. Marlene's serious injury ruined her plan to get Ellie out of the city. And here's the interesting thing about the whole situation. In exchange for a truck, weapons, and supplies, Marlene offers Joel and Tess a deal. Take Ellie to the Capitol building outside the quarantine zone. Joel didn't trust this woman, but desperate to find Tommy, he accepted the deal, unaware the task would last much longer than expected. Just as they're about to leave, they're caught by one of the guards. Things get worse when Ellie inexplicably attacks the man, forcing Joel to kill him. If they wanted to get out alive, this is where it's revealed that Ellie was infected. There's little time to decide before the other Fedra guards arrive. They flee to safety before questioning the girl about her unusual immunity.
Why was Marlene with an infected girl?
She found me when I got bitten.
And she didn't kill you?
Obviously not. But I think what impressed them most was that I didn't become a Tamo monster.
Marlene originally planned to take Ellie to the capital to meet another Fireflies group, then go west to a secret base to study her and develop a cure. Joel wasn't excited about going along with this at all. He'd already heard stories about miracle vaccines before. However, this is the one who convinces him to finish the job since, at least for now, this was the only way to get the resources they needed to go look for Tommy. Because of this, we have arguably the best shots in the series. Just look at those wide shots showing the destruction caused in order to stop the infected. Video game adaptations definitely won.
And the infected, where are they?
Okay, that's what we're getting to with this little segment I like to call the opinion nobody asked for. While the series pleases even the most die-hard video game fans and expands the universe's lore, it's also true that after a certain point, the infected simply stop appearing in the series. As a result, much of the tension and action vanishes. Yes, before the home box office max premiere, we were told the story would only include necessary violence. But even though I really like this product, and to this day I even consider it the best video game adaptation, even above Sonic, I admit many scenes and dialogues could have been cut to give us a few more scenes about the infected. And the thing is, for a story with zombies involved, the truth is they actually appear very little. But anyway, let's continue. Along the way, these three are forced to take a shortcut through a museum. Although we really like Pedrito Pascal and Lady Osita, it's great to see them battling these wild clickers, even if they risk being violently torn apart during the fight. Luckily, they're the main characters, so nothing will happen to them except Tess, who isn't as central. And once they get to the capital and discover that everyone is dead and they're about to be attacked by a horde, she reveals she was infected by a clicker. Realizing her time is short, she chooses to sacrifice herself to stop them. Not without first morally forcing Joel to finish this mission to save the world, taking Ellie himself to the Firefly's secret base, even if it costs him his life, dying violently and bloodily at the hands of the Fedra zombies or some crazy cannibal. Tess dies in the middle of the most bizarre scene in the whole series, while Joel is left devastated by the tragic loss of his partner. He partly blamed Ellie for everything, but the truth is she has a strong personality. Before they continue, she makes it clear that no one made him accept Marlene's deal. His decisions had consequences, understood? Their next stop was a rural area where Bill and Frank, a gay couple, lived and made many intolerant people uncomfortable. And in response to the negative reviews, the network released a statement addressing these kinds of people, telling them that if they didn't like the show, they should simply not watch it, and that's it. It's not like anyone was forcing them. But anyway, Bill was one of those people who kept to himself, away from the world. He didn't obey the government and hid underground long enough, waiting for everything to go to hell. That guy was a genius. He made the town a fortress against raiders and infected. He kept the electricity, water, and gas running. He built an entire bunker stocked with dozens of weapons, grew his own food, and nothing happened in that place without Bill knowing about it. 4 years after the Cordyceps outbreak, he met Frank when Frank accidentally fell into one of his non-lethal traps. So much space, yet we still collided. The rest is history. They fell in love during the apocalypse and later met Tess and Joel after radio contact. They did some business, trades, and things like that. But most importantly, they all became friends and trusted each other enough. With time, age, and illness arrived. Frank decides that he doesn't want to live this way anymore and asks Bill to fulfill all his requests on his last day before committing suicide. Of course, his wishes are fully granted, except Bill also chooses to die that night. They both go to sleep together after dinner, never to wake up again. Fortunately, Bill had everything ready for his death, expecting Joel and Tess to visit eventually. Here they have it all: hot water, weapons, food, and a video game outfit. I don't know which, so don't ask. Most importantly, they had a working vehicle to search for Tommy.
You must be Joel. Take what you want. I never liked you, but it's like we're friends. And I respect you. I'm leaving you my weapons and my gear. They'll be useful for...
Oh, and before leaving, Ellie takes a weapon without permission, which will matter later. It's important to note that while we don't see much action against the infected, the story does focus on giving even more depth to the relationship between Joel and Ellie. Gradually, they get along better, even though their personalities are so different.
Can I ask you something serious?
Yes,
Why did they give Scarecrow an award?
because he stood out in his field.
You're such a jerk.
Eventually, you reach a point where the truck can't go any further. Joel and Ellie are attacked upon arriving in a city where Federal Disaster Response Agency was ousted. All the commotion was observed by a guy named Henry, who thought it would be a good idea to find Joel to convince him to form an alliance. To escape alive, Ellie used the gun she had stolen earlier to shoot this guy. I told you it would matter. But even more important is that Bella Ramsey, episode after episode, keeps making it clear why she was chosen to play this character. Check out that acting. Yet again, video game adaptations win. Still, we don't have to worry too much about Ellie and her potential trauma after this horrible experience. Because she forgets everything when Joel teaches her how to hold a gun properly. Now going back to Henry and his little brother Sam. The problem with these two is that they were being hunted by the leader of this place, a woman named Kathleen, who doesn't hesitate to kill those who disobey her.
And the infected, where are they?
Patience, everyone. We won't see infected until the next episode. In the meantime, I can tell you that despite all of Joel's precautions to hide, he's still found by this pair of brothers. Once everyone calms down, Henry lets these two know that he doesn't mean them any harm. On the contrary, he convinces them to stay together temporarily. Since this guy knew the city so well, he was their best chance to escape without being discovered.
You want us to enter those tunnels?
Everyone thinks they're full of infected.
Were you there?
No.
Indeed, these facilities were empty. The group acts like nothing happened, leaving out one of the game's saddest stories. They escape easily after a few hours, and everything seems fine until a distant camper starts shooting at them. Joel circles the area and surprises the man who had warned Kathleen about the fugitives. This woman and her small army arrive at the place shortly after. With a perfect headshot, Joel barely manages to divert one of the trucks, but this wasn't enough to keep the rest of his allies safe. The explosion of the hit vehicle gives them a few seconds to hide, but the reality is that there was nothing else to do. Henry surrenders in order to save his brother and Ellie, but right at that very moment,
And the infected, where are they?
the ground shifts, releasing dozens of infected who lived underground. Notice that bloater and a strong reference. Video game adaptations win again, as always. Despite the chaos, Ellie saves her friends from the monsters. The annoying Kathleen is finally killed, and this small group manages to get out of the city safe and sound. Or at least that's what they thought. And even though the deal had already been fulfilled, Joel invites Henry to continue with them. The harsh truth is that Sam had been bitten, something that Ellie promises to keep secret for that night, trying to calm her friend, assuring him that he would be cured by the next morning thanks to her blood. Needless to say, it was all useless. She was attacked as soon as she woke up. Henry had to kill little Sam with a shot to the head, and that was the end of the story for the two brothers.
Henry, no!
For 3 months, they continued on their way. Now they dared to light campfires at night, watching the northern lights. Joel taught Ellie to shoot and to scare old folks into drinking, just typical Latin American dad things.
In Palta, it's bread with avocado.
He began having anxiety attacks, especially after hearing from the old folks that Tommy had been killed horribly by people living across the river, the very place they were going. It's even worse when they arrive and get cornered quickly. This time, Joel really thought they were going to die and didn't know what to do to save Ellie. Luckily, there wasn't much to worry about. After being questioned and found to be searching for Tommy, they were brought to a remote, secure community. Here, these two finally reunite, and things had really changed since the last time they saw each other. After eating, talking, showering, getting more video game clothes, getting a haircut, and going to the movies, Joel gets straight to the point, begging his brother to finish the task of taking Ellie to the Fireflies base. He tells him about the girl's immunity, the deal with Marlene, Tess's death, and also discusses the weakness haunting him on this journey.
I fail her in my dreams. The only thing I've done.
Joel felt too old to keep caring for Ellie. By the way, she was talking to Maria during the afternoon, and it's thanks to this conversation that she finds out Joel once had a daughter. While wandering alone at night, she overhears their angry conversation. Their anger was clear when they met again. Anyway, Joel couldn't handle Ellie's rejection. The next day, it's as if they never argued, and they get back on the road to look for the Fireflies. After 5 days on horseback, they reach the University of Colorado, but the rebels are gone. The good news is they knew where to go, but the bad news is some strangers showed up there.
Joel!
Joel is seriously injured while trying to kill one of them, and now it's Ellie's turn to ensure both of their survival. She cared for him for days, guarding the area and searching for supplies, medicine, and food, but never left him. On her first day searching for food, everything that could go wrong for a new survivor happens.
There's no one in sight.
Stop. Make one sudden move and I'll shoot you.
Despite the odds, Ellie negotiates food for penicillin to help Joel as she waits with David. He briefly discusses himself, the local community he leads, the Bible, his beliefs, and related topics. But more specifically, he talks about one of his men who was killed by a crazy man traveling with a girl.
Everything always happens for a reason.
Even so, he keeps his end of the deal by delivering the medicine and continues to offer Ellie to join his small group. With no time to spare, she hurries back to her hideout to care for Joel, ensuring she doesn't accidentally overdose him. I don't think this was in the script. The director liked it so much when Lady Osita injected a suspicious liquid into a dying man that he kept it in the final cut. Seriously, that could have been a smart way to get rid of Joel. And it's just that the very next morning, Ellie realizes that she was being hunted by David and his men.
Joel, wake up already.
Joel wouldn't get up. He was still too weak and could barely hear the girl's words. She tried to scare those guys. She did her best to keep them away, but unfortunately her plan didn't work out as she expected. David decided to keep her alive. He carried her to the town, locking her up while he tried to convince her to join them. On the other hand, the men who stayed behind looking for Joel were taken down while trying to kill someone who couldn't even stand up. 2 were captured and tortured, revealing the fury of a man desperate to save his daughter.
No! I won't tell you a damn thing.
Don't worry. I believe I'm your friend.
No.
Meanwhile, while trying to escape from her confinement, Ellie realized that in this town, people were being eaten. They were so desperate for food that they had to resort to this, and only a few people knew about it. David kept insisting on calming Ellie with his words. He offered to spare Joel's life as long as this girl stayed by his side. Of course, she only faked interest to steal the keys and broke one of his fingers. Joel soon reached the town and grew more worried about Ellie after learning what these people were doing. By shouting that she was infected, she scared them enough to take advantage of the moment and hide for a few minutes. The flames in this place began to spread. Ellie was overpowered by this sicko, but managed to kill him before he could abuse her. When she reunited with Joel, she felt a bit safer, but it would take her some time to recover from this experience. During the journey's final stretch, Joel's affection for Ellie becomes clear. He seems more cheerful, enthusiastic, and playful. None of this could lift the girl's spirits, but what did manage to bring a bit of happiness to both of them was the giraffe scene.
It's incredible.
Zoos won without words.
And the infected, where are they?
By now, I think we've realized there won't be any more infected. In this last episode, we see only one, but it's very important and relates to Ellie's immunity. 14 years ago, a woman became pregnant at the worst possible time. It's not mentioned whether Ellie is the result of two people in love, an accident, or in the worst case, abuse. We know that Ashley Johnson, who plays the protagonist's mother, also played Ellie in the video games. It's not the only similar case in the series. Meryl Dandridge plays Marlene in both projects. Troy Baker, who originally played Joel, went on to play James. Jeffrey Pierce went from being Tommy to becoming Perry. In Latin American Spanish, the same occurs with voice actors Adrián Woxu, Mariela Centurión, Jimena Vallejos, Martín Gopar, Mara Campanelli, Julieta Nieto, Lucas Medina, and Pedro Ruiz. They are the same artists, voicing the same characters in both the series and video games. At the end, I'll share a few more fun facts. If you enjoyed any, let me know with a strong like. Anna was being chased by an infected person when she was about to give birth. Although she reached her Fireflies hideout, she had to handle both situations simultaneously. By the time Marlene arrived, nothing could be done for her lifelong friend. Just to fulfill her last wish, protect Ellie no matter what and kill her before she turned. Now we know that Marlene never lost sight of Ellie because of that promise. She was still the other side of the coin, willing to do whatever was needed for the greater good. Unlike this man who wasn't going to let anything happen to her.
Time heals all wounds.
It wasn't time that healed her.
As they approach the hospital they had been searching for, they end up being ambushed by strangers. The good part is Marlene's men saved them the rest of the way to the base. The downside is that the Fireflies leader explains Ellie's entire procedure to Joel to save the world, trying to make that antidote. He is escorted out of the area, however, he is able to kill these guys and steal their weapons. He mercilessly killed every armed man in the hospital. Even the surgeon was shot in the head and died. Before leaving, Marlene appeared once again trying to convince Joel to do the right thing. She was willing to let him go despite everything he had done and trust that he understood what was at stake. It ended up being her downfall.
Let me go.
Of course you would come for her.
Joel lied, saying it wasn't possible to create the cure and that the hospital was attacked by raiders. This is something Ellie couldn't believe. She was overwhelmed with thoughts, but before reaching Tommy, she chose to face reality.
Promise me what you said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
Okay?
Yes, I almost forgot something before finishing the video. In the hospital massacre scene, actress Laura Bailey appears as a nurse. This woman originally provided her voice in the video game for this same scene, but it turns out that later on she would play Abby in the second title of The Last of Us. Did you know that? If you liked the video, please give it a strong like. I know it's unusual to discuss non-superhero franchises here, but I worked hard on this because I really enjoyed the series and wanted to share my thoughts. Besides, I've been planning to expand my content for a long time now. If I had to criticize the series, it would be, as often mentioned, the lack of action and suspense. I know it's unrealistic for someone to survive so many dangers, but still, it's just that from the halfway point on, there's not even a scene where you see a threat in the distance or anything like that, but it's okay, it's something you can let slide. The downside is it's noticeable, making the series lose momentum with each episode. Some moments, especially in the last episode, feel a bit rushed in my opinion. Here are my top 3 best episodes, in no particular order. And I would also like you to tell me in the comments what your top 3 are, or if you didn't like the adaptation at all, you can also tell me why. Thank you very much for stopping by, guys. My name is Alex for the NEGAYO channel. We'll see each other soon. See you later.